just because I'm conscious people will allow people to come in as we go. So look, thanks everybody for joining. This is our 5th one in this series, I think. So the speaker series run by the under 25s, under 30s in the national. We're joined this week by Nin, which is great to have him here. And we have one more week after this. So Nin, I'll let you give a brief introduction to who you are, where you're from, and we'll kind of take it away from there.
Yeah, no, nice one. I've firstly, well done, Will, for organising these types of chats. I think you've had some pretty cool guests on, and really honoured and happy to share my life of sailing to date and different boats that I've sailed on. So my history has really started very young at 5 years of age in an opti, pushed out in Baltimore Bay and learnt the ropes down there with sailing courses and other stuff then up in Crosshaven, and really progressed through the dinghies from the opties obviously, and then the lasers in youth worlds, a bit of 420, and then into college with the team racing, and really concentrated to get to the student yachting worlds, which we eventually got a bullet in, which was cool with CIT. And then post college went to the UK to work, which slowed a bit of my sailing, being stuck in London for a year and a half, but did get involved with Commodore's Cups from there, which was good, and then progressed really in 2015, summer 2015. Hugo Boss came to Cork with the challenge race from Enda. Endo Canine challenged Alex with his Imaka 60 in Cork Harbour, and they wanted a Cork Harbour local, and my old man actually took the call and said, no, I'm a bit too old to be on a 60-footer. Try my son, he's a bit younger. So I got out with Alex in Cork Harbour and kept him off the bricks, and had a nice jaunt outside Cork Harbour down to Powerhead, Cork Boy, and then into the harbour again for a nice little jaunt with him. And then that progressed really into a bit of super yachting from word of mouth and contacts from back and forth to America with the New York Yacht Club Invitational. As you do, you have a pint after sailing in the local bar, and you get chatting to various people, and a campaign was in the pipeline for a pretty monstrous boat, and the owner wanted an Irish helm, which I said to him, yeah, I can come and helm for you if you want. The biggest thing I've driven is 60 feet, and this was 200 feet. So that was took a little bit of getting used to, but at the end of the day, it's the same science, you know, whether it's tacking a 1720 or tacking a 200-foot super yacht, you still have the same science, same techniques, just everything takes a bit longer. So it was yeah, that was pretty cool, and I have a few videos to show you in there as well. So
then, like, obviously, like, over the years you've kind of done a little bit of everything, like, you know, every single size of boat. Yeah. You know, which out of all of them has been, you know, your most standout moment, I guess?
Probably it's a mix, you know. There's some really good events with really good teams, and great friendships built from that. You know, I mentioned the student yachting worlds. That was 10 years ago. I still have contacts from that are now in the industry, be it riggers or sailmakers or etc. And then, yeah, a standout memory would probably be going around the Fastnet with 50 ribs and ski boats and yachts chasing us with Alex's boat. There's a little video in here that is only a few friends have seen, because they were bold enough to try and keep up with us, probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles south of the rock when we started getting going. So there's a bit of unseen footage to the public eye within the presentation. So that's pretty special moments on that boat, and that technology of foiling, not fully foiling monohulls, but the Yamakas are just beasts when it comes to foiling sailing.
Yeah, for sure. And then I guess like in terms like, you know, the sailing skills, you know, I think people can probably relate a little bit to sailing a monohull, like maybe not foiling monohull, but then I think the one thing people find hard to relate is the, you know, I know you have a couple of videos, but the likes of the 200 footers, you know, like it takes ages to tack one of those things. Like, you know, what's the biggest difference, I guess, between what we're used to and the 200 footer?
Yeah, loading, size of sails, spinnakers of 750 kilos is the weight of one of the kites. 2,600 square meters is the sailcloth. Your average IRC boat in Dublin is probably 120 square meters. So yeah,
wow.
it's the loads, it's the size, and as I said, the first time sailing that boat, I kind of had to take a walk and be like, Nin, what are you getting yourself into? And then you know, when you break it down, you think about it, you know, you turn off the engines and you've got to learn the technique of tacking one of these things. And after 2 tacks, you're like, okay, I needed 5 degrees more rudder. The jib sheet needs to go earlier. The rate of turn needs to, you know, the momentum and the weight, it's just monstrous. So that's if those figures help to give you an idea, you know, the boats, one of them's 550 tons. Your average IRC boat in Dublin's about 6 tons. So it's just, yeah, it's big gear, big loads, and you know, you're told where not to stand when you're first on something of that size, and yeah, you see accidents happen when stuff breaks or someone's in the wrong spot. So but you can be injured on a 40-foot race boat or 200 foot, you know, the same dangers are there, just loads are bigger.
Yeah, for sure. Nice. Well, I think you have a couple of videos and stuff of that side, so it'd be cool to see them and see what you have on them.
No worries. I'll try set it up here now, lads. Just 1 second. Share my desktop.
Also, if anyone has any questions as we go, you can just put them in the chat, and we'll ask Nin as we go through the presentation and stuff like that.
Trying to just share the desktop, but I don't know how to open system preferences and security. You have the presentation there, Will, have you?
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, do you want me to put the winch one? The one of the...
Yeah, the one I sent through to you, and I can tell you just to jump to each. That's annoying.
Cool, I'll share that here now. We have a question there from Mark as I'm looking this up. He said, how many crew were you sailing with in the 200 footer?
That has 30 race crew to get the thing around the track. So yeah, the boat would have 10 permanent crew, from captain to stewardess to deckhand to engineer, and then to, you know, as I said, the sails are monstrous, and yeah, 30 race crew come in and sail the thing. So
nice.
Yeah, it's big gear.
Okay, do we want to go 2017 or 2018? There's 2 videos there.
Let's go 18 first, and if you go to 4 minutes and 55, and you can stop it at 7:30.
4:55. Can you see that there?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's go for it. I go to 7:30.
Yeah. So this is yeah, just shows you a super yacht in race mode, and everyone doing their thing. Will it play for you?
Yeah. Can you see that playing?
No, I can't see it playing.
Okay, give a second. Let me just pull it across. Oh, sorry, this guy's technical difficulties. Go. How many of these kind of boats is there when you're racing against them then?
Different classes have like from 6 to 10. I suppose other things to chat about with regards to trying to keep 550 tons apart from another 400-ton beast is the various super yacht rules. So you can't come within 40 meters of another boat. Be it tipping somebody port starboard, or when a 100-footer is getting passed out by 150-foot, there's various rules to use to your advantage tactically, but you can't come within 40 meters because it's just insurers don't want these things coming together because it'll be messy.
Yeah, for sure. And is there somebody full time on the boat who like pays attention to that kind of stuff? Is there?
Yeah, you've got a safety officer, and then the bowman. Somebody's dedicated on the bow and on the stern with a little range finder. Like when you're playing golf, you hit a ball and you're wondering how far the tee is, you can ping the other boat with your range finder, and it's pretty important on a dip when you're crossing somebody that's 200 feet away. It gets cool. Tight. That's all good, I think, Will.
Yeah.
40 meters wouldn't even be a boat length, though, right?
Yeah, for sure. 40 meters is can be under a boat length. Some of them, you're right, no. It
sounds like a lot to us, but like really.
Yeah. Okay. This is a 56 meter catch, and that's us in the white one, and we just had a better set than the guy with the red one. I'll explain a little more on the sets further on. You can, if you want to go full screen with that, Will. I'm not sure.
Just not sure if it'll. Did that work?
Yep. So at the top of the chute there is the bucket. We use the snuffer system. You can see it pretty clearly on top of the kite there. But when we go to hoist like this, we actually have the bucket at the top, and that whole kite is being hoisted in a zipper. You'll see on the deploy in a sec that I think 50% of the head is retained within the zipper. Actually, you'll see it in another video, the next video. But you wonder why the back deck is wet. You'll see that in a sec. That the heat generated from the load on the winch when you go to ease, you've got to add water to the winch or you just start melting rope. And then the front door, the bomb door we call it, is actually where they keep a tender when they're cruising, and we just use that as a drop bin when the kite starts to drop. So here's your bucket down, and then the army of guys on the front, and there goes the chute getting stuff down the forward hatch ready to be repacked. That's the control systems. Most of the sheets are on captive winches, which I'll show you in a sec. And there's your cork buoy on the stick. So I think you'll in a sec here you'll see the back deck, the guy with a hose in his hand in the pink socks, just making sure the stuff doesn't melt to the winch. And then we do use a bit of manual power to help on jibes, but you've got big drums on the back. You can stop it there, Will, if you want.
Nice. So we'll go over to the next one.
Yeah, if you go to the slide first, and then we go back to that other video in a sec.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah, shout, Noel.
The crew on board, the 30 people on board, how many of those are professionals, or who are they generally?
Most of them would be professional. Definitely your tactician, your helmsman, your safety officer. That is his job. A lot of the guys would be in the industry, be it a Harkin rep in America, a sailmaker, a rigger. We've done damage.
Is the owner on board? Does he have friends on board? Or?
Yeah. Some owners just want to be with their family or on their own. There's a well-known owner on a ketch, Marie. He's got a live cannon on the back of the boat, so when he passes boats, a full cannon is shot off and a big plume of smoke goes out the back, and that's him having the crack.
And does he shoot it himself?
Yeah, he's at the back, or he tell one of the lads to fire, get the instructions back. So it is a bit mad, but it's cool that they want to race these boats, you know.
It is.
And it's pretty special to see it up close. So the top left boat is a 60-meter ketch, Perseus cubed, which was my break really into the super yacht industry and sailing them. And just to give you kind of a scale, that mast is taller than the Elysian Tower in Cork. So as you come down into Cork City, there's a big, huge tower in front of you. Well, that mast is 78 meters tall, 250-ish feet tall. And that's her in the picture below it, with the white spinnaker and the red ketch behind it. And that's the 2,600 square meters of sailcloth, which you'll see split in two on the next video. But the middle picture then is one of the captive winches. So that's downstairs, and that's actually the staysail sheet. So the sheet will lead through the deck downstairs, go through various angles, and end up on this captive drum. There's no wire inside that. It's all Spectra, SK78, and then a cover, and the steel bar that you see running fore and aft or side to side, actually across the drum. There'll be a laser beam inside there to make sure you don't get an overlap or an override on the winch, because the loads are monstrous. So on the right, top right, is one of the monitoring screens that end up on deck, and that would be in front of me driving, and also the trimmers get to look at it. So it's obviously the boat's on the dock here. There's a bit of breeze from the port side, so aft, so not 173 true wind angle. Your port main sheet, middle left, is 1,900 kgs just on the dock sitting there, and then the starboard main sheet has got less pressure because the breeze is from the left hand side and probably could be eased, but there's 500 kgs on the other side. So these are kind of rig monitoring, be it sheet loads, which this is the sail system page, and unfortunately I couldn't find the picture that I have for the rig monitoring. So if you look at the top left picture, every stay that's on that mast has a load sensor. So it's like a traffic light system. When you're on the dock, beside those numbers is going to be green. And then as the boat heels over, the number, once the load increases, will go to yellow, then go to red. And when it gets to, max safe working load, stuff starts to flash red. And that's when, sheets need eased, the boat needs flattened out. And I've been there with everything flashing, and I've spoken to the rig designer and manufacturers afterwards with a beer in hand and said, lads, every light was flashing red there, how is the thing still up? And they're like, Nin, the rig's good for a layover, which is a broach, but the problem would be the superstructure of the hull. So the mast is obviously being pushed down, the cap shroud is being pulled up, and the question then is, naval architects, how's your ring frame around the rig? So, the standing rig load is 250 tons on the cap shroud, just standing. So it's as massive, big loads.
Is that a problem, Nin, as these boats progress in terms of materials, like the sails are less stretchy, there's less stretch in the ropes?
Yeah.
Like, where do things break these days?
It comes down to minor little things, like we had a zero on a 96 footer and the dog bone broke, something that's about the size of your thumb was the wrong material. It shouldn't have been attached to the sail. It wasn't a high grade stainless dog bone. I think it was a titanium dog bone, and the braking load just wasn't ready for what the zero was. So you're dead right, Will. There's trickle effects when you start making stuff stronger. Sails are much stronger these days than your stretchy nylon to Dacron to carbon within sails. And yeah, it's a lot of calculations being done by Rob Doyle down in Kinsale. He was involved with the top left boat, and it's actually a Ron Holland design. So there's a lot of Irish connection to that. Do you want to pop the bottom right video? And I think you need to go to 628.
628.
There's a question from Mark Gavin. Yes, yeah, the owners do drive. When it gets too close, or they get nervous, they'll just hand it back. That Perseus, the 60 meter was there was a family on board, and I was really keen to have the kids involved, and I had the 12-year-old son tack the boat while the father was on the joysticks tacking the jib. So I was hands off, but was able to, give the family their craft to enjoy and maneuver safely. This video then is again off Rose Harty, the White Ketch, and which I sail with now. But this video is when I was on the Perseus, which will be behind. And we have, I'll debrief the scenario afterwards if you want. So Rose Hardy had a good set with a zip kite, and the Perseus behind left there hoists with the bucket down. So firstly, you got to hoist 78 meters in the sky, and then you've got to pull the bucket up. And you can see here the distance that the loss is. Just watch the guy in the background. There goes 2,600 square meters in half. If you want to go back a small bit on that just before the break, Will. You can stop there, actually would be perfect. So the mast is obviously monstrously tall, and we do have a bowsprit on the blue boat behind. But as you can see, the luff of the sail is quite long, and was able to come back and hit the middle spreader and actually catch behind the middle spreader. So if you look at the white boat here, can you bring your mouse towards the tack area there, Will?
Yeah.
Just above, like 2 meters above the tack of the sail, you see a white tab. And there's actually a second tack webbing within that tack area. So it's actually a jibing tack. So when we go to jibe, we pull the tack down 2 meters, and you don't allow the luff to loop back on the spreader. You can play again there, Will, for all eyes again. So you see the kite gets snagged, gets one little rip, the luff will go forward, release, one tear, and yeah, shred central. I actually gave the helm over to Wouter Verbach, who was doing the tactics, because it was all hands forward to get this thing down and out of the water, and yeah, it's messy. And that's the debrief from the crew of Rose Harty. Again, stop there, Will, and go back to the slides if you like. Any questions from that, Noel? Would you jibe it differently?
Yeah, I think you did it all wrong, Neil, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you later how to.
Yeah. Nice one.
Actually, just to let people know, I think Nin's been very modest about his achievements. He also won the Helmsman's Championship 3 years in a row, and I think didn't defend it because he was playing rugby that day or something from memory. And he's also probably won so many 17-20 events over the years that, probably count at this stage.
Nice one, Noel. Yeah, there was a big game down in the Haven that weekend, so I had to tog out. Yeah. Is there any other questions in there, Will, from the Super Yacht slides?
Nope.
If something comes to mind.
Another question, though, I think it's for these boats. Obviously, they're built as cruising boats. So you know, how easy are they to like move from a cruising boat to a race boat? Is there many modifications you have to make?
With those boats, the big super yachts, there's very little you can do, you know. There's like every bit of racing, whether it's IRC or ORC, or with these it's ORC super yacht, so it has a rule, and it's trying to optimize for the rule. With these, you know, there's so many liters in the fuel tank, in the water tanks. The Perseus has a jacuzzi on the bow. They pump that water downstairs, so it's not sloshing around whilst you're tacking and have 25-degree of heel on. But then the rule sees you having ballast downstairs. So we try to, you know, speak to the captains and say, oh, what's the minimum fuel you can turn up to race with, and what's your charter commitments after? Can you get fuel elsewhere, etc. So yeah, there's it's very hard with the 200, 180, 200 footers to you know, strip furniture. They've grand pianos downstairs for the owner to play with afterwards. And yeah, but if you went to a 96 footer or 94 footer, Will, yeah, floorboards come out for race, as in they get changed to lightweight floorboards. And then when they go back to cruising, they'll have their beautiful varnished Gucci floorboards back down, you know. So.
Nice.
And how competitive is it? Like, are they driven, or they really, do they care whether they win or not, or what's
it's massive for them to win, you know. And when they don't win, they're looking at the smallest detail, or
but not taking the grand piano out, like.
No, they're not. No, definitely
like,
not.
Yeah, so they don't want it that badly, like.
Yeah. That's the camaraderie of. And yeah, there's big competition between owners. Cian has a question there. Will, has he?
Yeah. So Cian's asking, in those emergency situations, how involved do the guests get?
We try and involve the guests while racing. So when we do kite drops, we'll put them in a safe position. You know, obviously not at the rail, first in line to go overboard. They might be 2 or 3 deep or back. You know, we put blue tape on the deck to leeward, where we don't want them walking, where there's a flogging sheet danger, and then the safety officer is monitoring all that. When there's not boat stuff, he's responsible for, you know, and the race crew and the full-time crew are responsible for the guests to keep everyone out of danger zones. And you know, I've seen that. I'm up on high, you know, steering from a flybridge. You can see, you know, a tourist with his iPhone out trying to get a selfie, and there's a staysail or a kite sheet getting pulled out and starts flapping. You know, it's big there, and just try and keep them safe. Nice. Move on from.
Yeah, I'll move on. There's just one more question that Cian has sent directly to me there. It says, biggest difference in teamwork and crew communications having 30 plus crew on board.
Yeah. I've from 2 campaigns, and I won't touch on either one other than the differences being, you know, you need a headset, full stop. Your bowman is 100 feet away from you, calling a dip. He needs to be in your ear on the wheel up top. The guys on the back deck you saw with the hose pipe, they rarely can even see the spinnaker. There's an earpiece in their ear, and the trimmer is midships looking at the luff of the sail, calling for an ease or a wind on. And hand signals, everyone needs to be on the same page, and headsets and comms communication is key. But also, you know, you do need Mr. Motivator in the bow when you're dropping a kite, or you've got a big jibe on and there's 15 hands running aft with the kite sheet. You need a coordinator there. And so each role and each area has its own chief to get the Indians running.
Nice, good stuff. So go on one for you there now.
Yeah, there's a short. So yeah, there is a video within that, Will, but we won't play it yet. You got it paused. Yeah. Yeah, so I suppose everyone knows I got to do a bit of sailing on Boss, and top left is Stu Hosford, Cork, from Cork, who made that phone call that day to get some local knowledge, and the relationship then built from there. You know, I tried with Stuart, and Alex helped massively as well with support bringing Boss to Cork and Dublin, and did try to launch a Vendée campaign. It's only yesterday the boat that I had just finished the race with Miranda Merron, was Rich Wilson's boat, the Ireland Ocean Racing, which yeah, these two guys helped massively to launch that campaign. And you know, it's really hard. You go and to speak to sponsors that sponsor the GA, and they're 200k a year into the GA, but you know, you're looking for 4 to 5 times that to launch a sailing campaign for one guy around the world. So it was great experience, great exposure, met a lot of great people, and some of the skills and just technology of foiling and sail design for that type of sailing was massive. You can, if you want to play that video, it's of a friend in a rib off the Fastnet after we went round.
Should it just play within?
Yeah, I think.
Try it this way.
Did you get to watch it earlier, Will?
No, I didn't. This just looks like it's just a photo.
Okay, let me try and share my screen and play it from here. It might stop you, Will. Is that?
Yeah, you go for it.
That stopped you now?
I will.
I don't know what. Grant
access. Yeah, it's on you there, yeah.
Okay, cool. Everyone see that?
Yeah.
So we just left the rock. It was pretty light and breeze was building. These lads decided they'd try and keep up with us. The cameraman was at the back of the boat with a pretty expensive camera in his hand, and I knew this was, you know, getting close to happening, and was trying to get him back in the boat, back in undercover. And yeah, we took the bulb out of the water with a little layover. Main thing there was main sheet needed easing, and we needed to come away probably 5 degrees as the boat accelerated at another 10 knots. Also shows the beauty of a smaller sail on the front of the boat, being on the bow. The black J3 there just helps us to bear away. The A5 has now been eased after the hoist. You know, the sheets been brought on. We're pretty tired after the whole maneuver, just 2 guys. And a mile and a half later, we fucking broke. So, back on the coffee grinder. Get it all back in again. But yeah, that's not too public, that video, but it happens to the best of us.
It's the stuff you don't see on the fancy Hugo Boss page.
Yeah. That wouldn't have got across the mass medias. I suppose I'll just
you keep going there,
show this slide. Super Yacht. And yeah, then as you mentioned, Will, I have been involved in various campaigns from, you know, 1720s to fast 40s to those 2 on the top right are the old the Windfall in that picture, which and on the left of her is Aragon, a Dutch team that I race with, and that event was the meeting of those two owners really through a friend of mine on the Dutch team and myself chatting, and those owners got really friendly, and when Mick Cotter, who owned Windfall, was selling it, the Aragon guys were really keen on the boat because they couldn't beat us, and they've now bought the boat on the right. And that's just last September, October, I did the middle sea race with the one on the left being Aragon, led old Morris into us. And yeah, around there you've got the half tonner with Dave Cullen, bottom left. A very keen and avid campaigner out of Holt. Does great stuff for the half ton class. And then the top left is the campaign of Yes. That was a Corby 30, is a Corby 36, the old Mustang Sally. And that Adam Gosling campaigns various types of boats each year. He wins with that boat and wants a new challenge and a new design, and it keeps you on your toes and trying to spec the next boat and what's the latest mods and cons to do. And then the middle top is a lovely Cork campaign with Dennis Murphy and Anne-Marie, and the two girls, his two daughters, are the main helms of that campaign. So we'll do the Fastnet, hopefully, if it happens. O'Leary Dingle, Sovereigns, and so yeah, that's another fun campaign with you know, they do want to go offshore and inshore, and how to mold it accordingly, and also, you know, the tough one of how do you get crew to do everything is a hard one with that. So and then obviously the Touche at the bottom is a Fast 40 campaigned with a German owner, Irish wife, which we had a good series in the US in 2019 and had big plans for 2020 in the Caribbean, and then back to Cork for Cork Week, as she's from Carrigaline, the wife, and was really keen and eager to get the boat back and family out. And so that's another campaign that I was involved with. And then obviously the bottom right is the mighty 1720 class of racing with the old man, who was involved in the design with Neely Kennefick and Dave Love's father, Clayton Love, and Ron Holland was involved a small bit, but it was Tony Castro's design, which then went down into the SB3 at that time, SB20 now. So yeah, that's those. And then you wanted to learn a little about what we are with Doyle Sails. There's no, do you have any questions on a previous slide, Will?
Not so much. I guess how do you like to compare the time you spend, you know, abroad with these big international teams versus coming home and doing the 1720 stuff and, you know, racing with Cullen, and, you know, which do you prefer?
I like every aspect of it, you know, be it, you know, the super yacht and that challenge of putting that boat around the track, to small boat tactics, you know, the chess game that is 1720 class racing, to family orientated campaigns, and just trying to get the best out of each boat. And there's obviously various tricks of the trade between each class and each boat, and you know, that's the challenge that I enjoy from it. Yeah, that's definitely
Nice.
the attraction between, you know, I wouldn't like to be all the time on one specific boat and not getting your teeth stuck in other classes, be it a national 18 and on the trapeze wire, to trimming the main and trying to tell the old man where to go. You know, it's all a challenge and good fun.
Yeah. There's
who's the best between the four of you?
My mother.
Correct. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
There's just a question there. Sorry, it's from Cleena also sent one in.
Cool.
She said, in comparison to some of the other racing that you've done, high speed IMOCAs, IRC, 7020s, etc., where does the adrenaline aspect come from with super yachts? Is it the technicality, the high loads, the sheer size?
I suppose it's a challenge, and the adrenaline that you're questioning there. You know, tight turns with be it a rock or a boat in front of you, or the start line, for example. You know, you're all get a set start time. It's not an all-in start because the boats are massive. So, if for a super yacht of 200 feet, your start sequence actually starts 6 minutes out from the start time, because the positioning, the turn, the approach, the hoist, the deploy of a kite if it's a downwind start, the timing of that is all, you know, is pretty tense stuff. And can you cut the turn early because you're running late to your 3-minute waypoint? If you cut it early, how tight you cut it, you know, you're not going to slow down 500 tons when it's doing 12 knots. You know, you're just not. It'll take you a mile to drop a chute. So yeah, that's the challenge of that. And as I said, you know, the loads are monstrous, and sometimes things go wrong. You know, the steering is a hydraulic. You're pumping hydraulic fluid in a steering wheel, which is talking to a quadrant at the back of the boat. And yes, I've had a situation where you're turning the wheel and your rudder indicator is no longer moving, which means the rudders aren't turning. You're spinning this wheel frantically, and hey, Cap, she ain't turning. And an island in front of us, you know, a mile and a half away, and a reef a mile away. So yeah, you get your thrills, your spills, and your scares, and adrenaline in different ways, from the super yachts to foiling IMOCAs to fast 40s.
Nice.
We'll move on to the latest occupation with me, and joining Doyle Sails International, which had a small presence in Ireland, but that didn't last, and the guys in the UK were keen for me to join them. But the laydown of Doyle now is owned by three New Zealand directors, being Mike Sanderson, a winner of Volvo Ocean Race with the ABN AMRO 1, David Duffy, who I've raced with on super yachts, and Richard Bouzet, who was the head designer of, and he's the head designer down there, but was involved with the Hugo Boss sales. And we got to do a couple of 1,000 miles in the Atlantic with Buzzard. And then the founder of the company, Robbie Doyle, actually was on the Perseus, and I think he trimmed the main one year and was like a afterguard advisor the next year. Super nice guy, very talented, and always had time to sit down and discuss various bits and pieces. And yeah, so that's Doyle International. And then I joined the guys in the Solent. Pete Greenhalgh is the director there, and who I'd raced with before, and found super nice personality, good to chat to, and you know, knew I had a good connection to see, you know, could I help in Ireland, be a presence, and just assist them, you know. So we do chat a lot with regards to IRC stuff. And then only 3 weeks ago, I went to the south of France, which was nice to get on board a boat and sail. It was work. I had a letter from the boat yard saying that we in Doyle Sails were required for their work to continue. Take the 5th COVID test before you fly. Mask on, 2 masks on, and yeah, go down and commission the sails of a gunboat catamaran, 68-foot cat, and put new sails on with our head cat guy, which is Brian Thompson. And yeah, it was super fun to do, with regards to be involved with Brian, setting the sails up. I said to Brian, you know, happy to help install sails, but cat sailing I haven't done a lot of. And he was like, no, don't worry, you know, one mainsail is connecting to the same mast, the same boom, reef systems, you know, you'll be fine. And I actually helped out a lot with the reefing of the mainsail. It had a split track, and as we reefed, there was an issue with, as you came down through the various reefs and the reef cars, so it had a full main battens, which started to stack up as you lowered the main and reef it, and identify the problem and the solution, and save the sail having to be lifted off and go to a loft and a change that wasn't required at the end of the day. So that was good fun. And then in Ireland, I suppose, let's see what I've been up to. Obviously, with the support of the family in the 1720 class, they were keen to get a suit of sails in here. So I worked with Richard Bouzet on the dimensions, and Pete Greenhalgh in the UK has actually raced the 1720 of old, and knew that the spinnaker design was pretty important in this class. So, you know, we run deep, come 15 odd knots. So you need a big upper girth to rotate to windward, be able to ease the tack line up, get some windward heel, and rotate that spinnaker to windward and run deep with the sail. And then when you can plane, the kite still has to be somewhat orientated into bow up and go fast. So it was good fun in regards to designing the sails. It would be all in New Zealand. I'm not a sail designer, but I did have a lot of input in regards to draft of the main when it arrived. You know, you sail long enough to know, okay, that sail's a little flat, let's do this to it. And I think the next two pictures will show you that. So here's the version one of the mainsail, and the top stripe being above the sail numbers there, the red draft stripe, to me was just a little flat. You know, the old man knew what he was getting into with regards to being the guinea pig. He said it early and was like, Nin, happy to be your guinea pig, but get me there, the right shape in the end. So we sent the main just back to the UK to have a little luff curve adjustment. And you'll see if I can move this screen. Now the upper draft stripe is significantly, well, not significantly deeper, but it has got more draft in it. Still being able to flatten off once we bring backstay on, but in the light stuff, when you want a drafty main and a bit of power, that was essential just to do a little tweak. It's the same sail. There's no material being added, and there's no cutting. Literally the luff bolt rope that you see there, that white tape, it's got about 30 mil of play for where it's stitched to the sail. And that was the draft change for that mainsail. Will, you asked about some Doyle technology, and the guys don't sing about it too much, but there is a video there that we can play in a sec. But it's this is a 18-foot skiff, but you'll see in the numbers later that the structured luff goes from 18 footers to 200 footers. And what is structured luff? The right-hand picture is showing quite a straight entry luff, nice aero flat entry, and that's really from these two luff bands are structure, slightly thicker than the material aft, but they're load sharing and load bearing, and that is your structured luff in an 18-footer. This sail doesn't have the structured luff, and you can see the forestay sag. That's pretty obvious on an 18-foot skiff, but on a 200-footer, you know, the forestay sag is monstrous, just because the foil is pretty heavy, the sail's heavy, and the loading is ginormous. So we've started introducing the structured luff jibs into bigger boats, and let's see what happens if we can play this video.
It's been 3 years now since sort of the first cableless sails started appearing on boats, and since then the evolution, even a revolution really, of the design of these sails has been amazing for the industry.
The theory is load sharing, and we learned in early tests of this technology that we could spread load through the membrane more effectively and efficiently to reduce the loads, or make the loads work for us rather than be fighting loads. And as the technology has evolved, we've learned that it's applicable to just about every sail.
They started off with the Code Zeros, sort of semi-flying spinnakers, and as the technology's developed and the designs have evolved, then we've been able to push it even further into tighter angle sails. So the benefits of the cableless technology are many, and we hear different sort of feedback from different crews just absolutely raving about how easy the sails are to handle, how much lighter they are, much easier they are to fold into bags and into sail lockers without cables, and that goes right from sort of 50-footers right up to super yachts.
One of the bigger challenges that we've got with super yachts, particularly as the designs get more and more performance orientated, is the huge loads that they're creating, and that's only getting worse. But the potential to make these weight savings and performance gains and keep everything a little bit safer and a little bit lower loaded is really exciting.
With the new technology that's going on now with these cableless and structured luff sails, the gains that can be made in the mast design, rigging, even the hull structures is incredible.
For example, you can take this technology and reduce the weight of the mast, the stays, the potential boat structure. The loads could be reduced by as much as 50%.
Because of the technology, we're able to make the mid-girth Code Zeros flatter, which means that they can be used at much tighter angles, and the ability to change the shape of the sail by just easing the tack up or changing the lead a little bit means we're getting a lot more range out of the sails as well. As well as filling a big gap, they're proving to be a lot faster as well. So the trimmers are happy, the owners are obviously happy. The durability of the sails has been amazing as well. With the Stratus technology, the way we're building them, the sails are lasting as long as the owners want to use them for. And the way the development's been going, that's quite often not more than a year or 18 months before we can make a pretty big jump in design, just because we're developing new sails every day. Every new sail that goes out is, a small tweak better than the last one.
Good sails make boats go fast. It's pretty basic, really.
How do I get out of that now? Stop.
Bottom right there, maybe. Yeah.
Nice one.
So we have just a couple of questions on the Doyle stuff so far. So Keith was wondering, are Doyle targeting any particular class of boat over the next few years?
The J70s in the States, it's all regional dependent, for sure. For me at home, the 1720 is a class very close to my heart. So getting good sales into that class is important, which we're doing. If you're down in New Zealand, they've got their various little classes. If you're in the UK, you've got the J70, the Cape 31. The States has various classes, so there's enough brains around the various countries that are concentrating on their classes, but are coming back then to NZ, or we're dealing close with the States on the J70 stuff, because there's a big class in the UK as well. So it's not very class specific. You know, obviously the Doyle Sails are on the Flying Cats, the F50s for the Sail GP. That's a contract, you know, that HQ would go and target and try and get to. And like North Sails, for example, I saw Morris join earlier. Their CEO Kenny Reid's heavily involved with the New York Yacht Club. So the New York Yacht Club's IC37s have a contract to North for another two years, I think. So it's really, you know, regional dependent and who's where with what contacts. But I'll touch on the other classes or the types of boats we deal with towards the end of the slideshow. That's a structured luff J0 on the Cat, the gunboat 68. And again, you've got the 3 lenses for this sail, bigger sail, needed bigger, another additional lens in the back just to share the load. And I have a few numbers then for those who like to crunch numbers. The conventional luff jib figures, the tack load, the halyard loads, the forestay is the major one. As you see, the combined load of a conventional structured luff is 20 tons, but a structured luff jib reduces that by 4 tons. So the loading on the rigging is reduced because the sail is actually designed to now start taking forestay load. And the diagram really shows that, the top left being your conventional jib luff, and where that red isn't really getting to the head load. The red obviously is exiting the tack, but your halyard is taking the majority of it. And then the structured luff jib on the right, you really see that load sharing through the sail and taking it off the forestay. And then the projection of a sail, that's the sag that we saw from the 18-foot skiff. You see it here being conventional jib from a down on deck level looking up. You've got the black line being your conventional jib where the luff would be sagged to leeward, and the red then being a structured luff, just straighter entry. So any number crunchers out there with queries on it? Happy. Cool. And then I think Stu Bannatyne touched on it a small bit with regards to the cableless technology. You know, conventional furling sails have quite expensive cables within them. Yes, you have the cost of a sail and its furling unit, but then for a 40-foot IRC boat in Dublin Bay, there's probably, for a code 0, you're looking at $2,000 to put a cable. Could be plus or minus a couple of €100, but the cableless sails take that cost out of the sail. There would be a luff band within it, whether it's SK78 Spectra or 99 on a bigger boat, just to take a little bit of load within the luff. But as such, it's not a PBO Kevlar carbon cable inside it. So this cost saving on your cable will pay for your $2,000 furler. And then, yeah, they're super easy to furl into bags. Will, you know, from trying to flake a 0 or a stay sail with a big heavy cable in it, trying to get the sausage to turn at the end. There's no, 12 to 20 mil cable in the sail. The thing just flops over like you're flaking a sheet. And then obviously you get your luff projection and driving force, and then the wider sailing angles, as the video touched on. If you ease up attack, you all of a sudden create an A2, A3 from your 0. Probably not the best setup with comparison, but the bigger boats are finding that the angle is a little deeper when they can ease it up and have that luff projection.
in like for obviously a lot of people on this call, you know, we're all racing in the likes of DBSC and like Isora and stuff like that on 30, you know, anywhere from 20 to 40 footers. You know, is this like cableless technology and all this stuff, is this all like applicable to, you know, our racing as well? You know, like if say personally, like we're on an A35, could you do a cableless zero for an A35 or a J109?
Yeah, or a furling soft sail. You put a luff band in the front of an A3, for example. I you know, I'm working closely with the Sunfast 3300, and I'm keeping an eye on the guys in the UK and what sails they're doing on that size of boat. And you know, be it a safe, you know, short-handed is a growing industry, with regards to less crew on board with COVID issues, and so you want sails that are safe to handle, and furling options are there. This slide here is I think some 28 footer in Auckland with a paneled zero, so you don't have the, and the next slide will show you the difference. So that sail is affordable to your club racer versus a full Grand Prix Stratus, Helix, whichever you know, Gucci Grand Prix material that every sailmaker has in their offering, and they have these as well, you know. So yes, the next two slides really show that there are technologies and different sails for various markets, and it's not all Grand Prix. And you know, Doyle will look at 1720s and make sails to fit into that budget and within the price range. And this, you know, this sail will transform a 38 footer when they pop that out and screech down to the Muglands. And then obviously our various classes, be it a J70, you know, a nice Daler 38 with a little paneled code 0. The bottom left then is the Beneteau 50, which did the arc, and that's, as you can see from the front sail, has all these strata strands, carbon strands running tack to clew to head, and the technology and cost involved in that sail versus your top right panel 0, you know, you're at least double the cost for your Gucci bottom left to your paneled top right. And so there are options there, and I suppose it's important that everyone knows that there are technologies that aren't top budget, and every sailmaker have the options. You know, you just have to, you know, discuss it and flesh it out. And yeah, I race. I'm a Sunday or Thursday night weekend warrior, but I'm not going doing the IRCs, and I don't want the expense of these sails that get up in the summer and are put to bed again. So I hope that answers your query, Will. And then obviously we got the Moth with Kyle Langford, with the working heavily again with the structured luff on a mainsail, pretty flexible rig. So you want a bit of structure and strength in the luff of the sail. And he was second at the last World Championships. And yeah, we do your classics with a nice little multicolored sail, and someone's obviously got racing blood in them with a spinnaker stay sail stuck on the bow as well for a bit of horsepower. So yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you for having me, Will. Enjoy your sailing. There's me with a buddy delivering the mighty IOR1 from Dublin to Cork. Nice sunshine in the back, and I think it's important, no matter what class you're in and whatever country you're going to be sailing in, with whoever, just enjoy it. You're on the water, you're getting fresh air. I know it's not happening next week or this weekend, but we have a sport which is will happen again in the future, and we just got to look forward to it.
Nice. So just before you head off, then we have two more questions here for you. Yep. So one from Mark, which is, any thoughts on the issues that Hugo Boss had recently? Have you got any inside knowledge of their rudder issues or anything in the Vendée?
Yeah, I don't have inside knowledge on the rudders. You know, I think he was really, really unfortunate to be behind the 8 ball when himself and Neil McDonald went for their first race to the TJV, when the keel left and let go from the bottom of the boat. So that's serious structure rebuild into the shed, and you know, to be behind testing and pushing the boat when you have a major mess up like your keel falling off and you having to sail 1,000 miles with water ballast down to the Cape Verde Islands, then ship the boat home. It was really unfortunate for that to happen, and then to see how long it takes to rebuild the carbon structure and get going again. It must have been obviously big enough not to finish, but he's since repaired what needed to be done and sailed the boat back to the UK. So, so it was, not a good campaign. His 5th one. Will he go for a 6th? I hope so. He's got stuff to finish with a bullet in that race. And you know, when I was involved in 2016, they knew they had a huge advantage. Their foil design, shape, and technology, the technique of how that boat foiled versus the French guys in 2016. You know, that boat was 3 knots faster in a straight line next to the next fastest French guy, and in the conditions. And yeah, the boat was a rocket ship, and this time the Frenchies were smarter. Their foil shaft and shape was different, closer to the version 1 of Hugo Boss, and you know, it's so his advantage from 16 has disappeared. And yeah, he had a pretty cool boat with a nice enclosed cabin and going around in your slippers. It was pretty nice. Even the last boat, you still got wet inside the cockpit, and you had spray come over the hood, and you just had water circulating, which still got you wet and obviously not drenched. But yeah, maybe it just went a bit too far with the latest boat.
Cool. And then the one last one I have here, which is just an interesting one for the DBSers and the locals, is if you have a J109, where could you see like the biggest performance increase in terms of like potential new sales, or you know, instead of what everybody currently has?
Yeah, I suppose it's down to the inventory. Will, you know, what is the downwind inventory? Do you have every trick with regards to the Grand Soleil 40 I talked about there? I joined Dennis and Anne-Marie, you know, to help the campaign in December, and a Code Zero from Nigel and Norts just transformed that boat. The Dennis, you know, was windward lures with symmetric sails, and it takes talking to your local guy, or send me an email or a phone call. I'll happily share my knowledge of everything, and you know, for that example of a J109, does it have a zero? Does it have that reaching ability, which is you know, super strong, versus this A2, which is a deep sail, and you're just not going to do 100 through wind angle in 12 knots very efficiently, versus a Code Zero, flat entry, tighter through wind angles, and all of a sudden you find you're doing the wind speed maybe a little more if you're lucky. So it's honest answer to J109, I don't know. Do you have all the, you know, strengths to what you're doing? If you're just J109 windward lured in, then the Code Zero shouldn't be downstairs. If you're, you know, zigzag courses or going offshore where you will come across every wind angle, you should really think about what your weak point is, and how to gear the boat or mode it correctly.
Nice. Good stuff. Well, look, Nin, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I've just worked up your contact details are on the screen there for anyone who has further questions on Doyle Sails or any kind of further questions after this. But look, thanks Mil for your time. It was super interesting. Really, really good to have you on. And I assume I speak for everyone when we say we're really looking forward to hopefully seeing each other and yourself out in the water sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Will. It's cool to see the various chats you've done and the people you get involved in it. And as I said earlier, we're all going to get on the water soon, guys. So get your boats ready, do the final bit of cleanup and polishing when we can get into boat yards, and look forward to setting sail and definitely having a pint afterwards and catching up. Thank you very much, Will.